Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Schizomanic here, the insane game manic here. Back at it again with another snafu episode review. Sorry, this one's kind of late. Realistically, I watched it Thursday, and then I didn't record yesterday like I wanted to, and then today I just rewatched it before doing this video, so I had like a general basis to have the conversation. So we do get the Hayama and Hikigaya conversation, which is literally just kind of amounting to I need because realistically they need like their backing, but of course, kind of like Kawasaki in her situation, Hayama's technically already been drafted by Yukinoshita, so it can't happen. Their conversation's interesting because actually throughout the entire episode, I think it's like him and Ebina and I think Haruno are all kind of like, why are you fucking doing this? This is the wrong way of going about things. And part of it, I think, it kind of boils down to Hikigaya just being prideful. He doesn't want to make their relationship seem so superficial as to say that Haruno's whole statement about it being a situation of codependence, that's all there is to it, to their relationship. But I also feel like Haruno intentionally caused another fucking rift. Sorry, I thought someone was at the door. Someone caused another. Haruno intentionally caused another rift because she wants to see genuine progression in their relationship. She feels like there's potential there. And of course, you get that sequence later on in the episode with Hayama and Haruno talking about, and he's like, what's the problem with their relationship? Well, of course, Hayama says that because Hayama is also a fan of fake ass, like, basic fucking relationships. Half of the reason why he has such an issue, and it's kind of funny that they're so chill about not liking each other now to the point where it's ridiculous. But yeah, like the reason why it makes sense that Hayama is a fan of that kind of stuff because Hayama, actually I think half the reason why Hayama hates Hikigaya is that Hikigaya is willing to make progress even if he ends up going down the wrong road. Hayama is very much a stay in the safe zone kind of person, and he'll play anywhere around that field to avoid change. This is part of the reason why I want to see more footage and more backstory with him, Yukinoshita, and Haruno, because there's history there. But they're not, and it's weird because he's way too perceptive and smart, but he's also afraid of something. I think the future absolutely terrifies him. Like I said, he's in the same boat as Yui, which, interestingly enough, in this episode, I'm not gonna say she backpedals, more so as I'll say she's kind of like calmed down. I think she still feels the way she feels, but the irony now is that they both feel this way. I think I mentioned this in the last episode review. Yui and Yukinoshita are both sides of the same coin because they legitimately believe they care too much about the other person to fuck up a dynamic. Yui is essentially given up emotionally, at least based off of the last few episodes, has emotionally somewhat given up on Hikigaya as a love interest, although she loves him and really wants to drag out these small moments they still have together because she feels like that's all she's going to have left. Yukinoshita, we haven't gotten a lot of monologue from her, but it's the same premise that, like, I think Yukinoshita is aware, especially with you almost making it dead ass clear later, like, what was it, last week I think is when she did it, making it super clear, and then I think you get the post-credit sequence at the end of this episode with her and Yukinoshita talking. Like, with all these little things, it's obvious that they're both so concerned for each other that it almost feels like they're at a standstill because they refuse to make a move. That's why Yukinoshita's wish was to grant Yui's wish. And the reason why she said, I think last week, about how you and me probably are wishing for the same thing, which makes me think that she does recognize their situation. I don't know if she recognizes her own feelings to that extent. And it's weird because this is like the most genuine Yukinoshita has been so far in this episode when she mentions how much she enjoyed them being together and having these fights and arguments and having these kind of emotions. Like, she low-key, she never admitted it then, but it's become clear as more time has gone on, and now when she fucking says it, that, like, their relationship did a lot for her. But I also want to trail back and double back and talk about Haruno's assessment of Yui and Hikigaya's relationship, which, by the way, she's dead on the money about when she fucking mentions about how Yui's the biggest problem because Hikigaya is motivated by Yui, which is true. But then again, I would say Yukinoshita also is in the same vein. Yukinoshita, granted, it's not the same way, because Yui's support of Hikigaya gets him to be more open and honest about his feelings. Yui's support of Yukinoshita allows her to open her heart more. It's not the exact same thing, but it's once again, two sides of the same coin. But she mentions how problematic that is. That because of how much she even tags on something I mentioned a while ago about, like I said, maturity-wise, Yui was above Hikigaya and Yukinoshita by miles, because she already knew and she was aware of her feelings as things kept piling on. And I am going to mention the prom stuff. But unfortunately, that created a situation where she knew all the fucking pieces, but she still wanted to guide Yukinoshita and Hikigaya in the right directions. But in some ways, it feels like she forsaked herself in doing that. And it's not, but Yui mentions how it's not codependence because of the pain that she's suffering from. That it hurts way too much for this to be codependence. I would be having to get something out of it. The only thing she really gets out of it is being around the people she cares about and seeing them succeed. But it hurts her because she knows that she will get screwed in the end, which is more so her mind. She's given up in her mind, and that's what's causing her the pain. And she doesn't want to address it. That's why she's, ironically enough, even though being the most emotionally mature, she actively chooses to refuse it because she's so afraid of what comes next. Essentially the Hayama problem. Hayama has the same issue. It's just that Hayama isn't focused on enough for you to get the full, clear understanding from it. But they're literally the same. They have the same kind of problem, except Hayama just actively doesn't want to fuck up what he considers a good thing, whereas Yui's situation is more she's afraid because she knows she'll be left in the dust when everything's settled, and that's how she feels. The prom stuff isn't overly interesting to talk about. The only interesting thing is that the card that Hikigaya ends up playing when he meets Yukinoshita's mother, once realizing her role isn't really to be a boss. She's more of the gun than the goddamn guy shooting it. And being the gun makes her incredibly powerful. And so the only thing he could think to do, and it worked in the long run, because he ends up losing he ends up losing that competition between him and Yukinoshita, which almost still seems kind of off, because it feels like that shit was kind of gleamed over. We went from one scene to the next, and he was like, yeah, you won. And then they disagreed on it, because... And it kind of gets into my issue with the conversation I want to have about Yukinoshita going back towards the ending. But first things first, his card to play was the fucking incident that connected their fates in the first place. That Yukinoshita was in the limo that hit Hikigaya before he even had his first day of high school, because he was trying to save the dog of Yui before they had even interacted. I think this is the most inherently open they've been about that plot point since the first season. And the first season was still vague about it. We knew what was going on. We knew at the very least Yui and Hikigaya were connected just through that. And then it just happened to be that Yukinoshita was the third party. Although Yukinoshita isn't as directly connected because it isn't directly her fault. It's just whoever was, I think, their limo driver. She just happened to be the passenger in the car. But playing that card gave him a little bit of leverage to try to get her to flip the gun, cock the gun sideways instead of straight at him. But it gets into Yukinoshita's thing. So Yukinoshita's thing at the end is more of her recognizing that even though she quote unquote won because her proposal was the one that was chosen, it's still banked on her relying on Hikigaya. Either is the way she views this indirectly, but the way I really view it is that I think Yukinoshita's misunderstanding relying on someone as a bad thing inherently, and it's not. But because of her own already preconceived condition, she believes in that relying on Hikigaya is a detriment, because it's been stated to be a detriment by her older sister. And to be fair, there are flaws in her overly relying on Hikigaya, which is the thing. There's already truth in that argument. But what makes it inherently worse is that I think she's perceiving all instances of that as a bad thing. That's why they're so concerned about killing the relationship as the way it currently exists. Now, change isn't a problem, but because of that, I feel like there's some misunderstanding, because realistically, relying on Hikigai isn't a problem. The problem is that when Hikigai, and she still has the problem. Actually, a good example that she still has the problem is when they're going back and forth about who actually won, and they're going back and forth about who actually won, and eventually he just goes, "You decide," and he's like, "I can't decide." Granted, that has a double meaning for me. That first reason is he doesn't want to decide because it's essentially perpetuating the same problem they already have, which is kind of what Hikigai's main issue is. He doesn't want their relationship to be trivialized by saying, "Oh, it's just codependency." Like, he wants it, if it has to end, it needs to end properly, not on this notion that everything that going up into this moment was, oh, it was just us being codependent. No, they legitimately made strides in their personalities and be going towards steps to becoming better people, but it's getting undermined when you say dumb shit like, "Oh, well, it was fucking, oh, well, y'all were just being codependent." That wasn't the case, because Yukinoshita, her original personality, didn't believe in that. The problem is Yukinoshita's original personality also shut her off from the world. It was her coping from the way she was before, which is why I think Hayama feels guilt about Yukinoshita, because he didn't push it. And Yui even brings up this interesting conversation about how watching over someone is kind of a cop-out in its own right, because watching over someone essentially means I get to take a back seat and I don't do anything. And like, that just leads to complacency, and then boom, why is it that you and your friends don't hang out anymore? Why I said I would watch over them? Well, that's a cop-out. And that's a cool point, because essentially she's making the argument that, like, just because me looking over you doesn't mean we can't still interact. And that's the difference versus like another show that would be like, "I'm going to watch over you." Because watching over you in any other show would literally mean me taking a step back and just letting you do your thing. And granted, to a degree, that's what Yukinoshita needs. But she still wants to stay involved while watching her grow. Because Yui still cares about her. They still care about each other. A lot, actually. So trying to kill the relationship as it is currently, I get it, but it doesn't. But I feel like they're still like in this so like malleable state where they're still being pulled and pushed. They haven't really hit that point where they have a solid, concrete version of themselves yet. So I feel like the biggest problem Yukinoshita is facing is that she doesn't want to lose them, but she also recognizes she has problems and she can't get over those problems the way things are now. But I don't want her to take it too far and understand that there's nothing wrong with being connected or relying or being close to people. I feel my issue in that, and she doesn't want to lose it. But I feel like she thinks she wants to go. It's the same issue as Yui, just in a different direction. She feels like she's so far gone that it'd be better just to walk away. And Yui low key is in it. I think, ironically enough, Yui's still being the mature one in this situation. She's because her giving up isn't the same thing. Her giving up isn't trying to walk away. Her giving up is literally just trying to. She still wants to be there, but she's just being a little selfish in these little moments. And next week we get to see her and her mom do some cute shit, and I can't wait. Also, side note, mention a few comedy moments I thought were really fucking funny. The first thing is the show the appearance of Yukimura and Ebina in that sequence. I thought the best sequence is like, you can't be out here playing on the beach with gym shorts under your fucking high school outfit. And so she pulls down the gym shorts, and you see Zaimoku's and Hikigai like, I'm not gonna and it's a funny silent scene I appreciate. I'm trying to think, what was the other one? There wasn't a lot of funny moments, but I'm trying to make sure. They finished the pictures and the site was set up, and then we saw that Mr. Wavy Hand supported it. That school supports it. Haruno and them have the talk. Then they meet with her mother. The only thing that's kind of funny about the mother conversation with him, Shizuka, and Yukinoshita's mother is when she goes, "I hope we didn't cause you any problems." And he goes, "I feel like my legs are sturdier than before." You guys can't see it, but I'm doing the motions where I'm lifting my legs. But there weren't a lot of funny moments. It was primarily heavy shit, and like I said, they glanced over the prom stuff. It pretty much went from that mother sequence to Hikigaya going into the car room and telling Yukinoshita you won. Like, there wasn't a lot of in between there. So literally, that's it. But yeah, it's just a lot. I'm curious about the next episode because we do see Yukinoshita in it. We also see Aroha, so I'm curious about how that dynamic is gonna go. But like I said, and then I think we recently heard that there's supposed to be a light novel announcement of the third year, so their final year of high school, which is technically like the epilogue to the main series. That's supposed to be starting up. Looking forward to that, and I hope that gets animated. Because depending on how this season ends, I would be very, 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 very curious how that goes. Considering I think this whole series, these 3 seasons only take place during their... It's either their first year or this year, like the middle year, or it's like... It's the first and second year. I don't remember which, though. I'm pretty sure this year, the school year only takes place during... No, because they had summer. They had summer break in the first season. So this probably takes place... The original, like the first 3 seasons probably take place between like the latter end of their first year and the majority of their second year. Which would be season 2 and 3, I would bank. That's a guess because I'm not sure and they don't outright say it. At least not in the anime. So, yeah. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. There's a lot of shit going on in my mind, and I don't know how to process it. So if you guys have any ideas or thoughts or theories or commentary, I appreciate it. Like I said, some of the most interesting shit to me is the side characters, specifically Hayama and Haruno, because they keep playing with these two, but they're not giving us anything. There's just tidbits of shit. And I want more. I want them to throw hands. I low-key do want Hikigaya and Hayama to throw hands. Low-key, because I know they don't like each other. And Hayama, ironically enough, the only genuine side of Hayama you get is when he's talking to Hikigaya. Alright, I'm gonna stop. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. That's the game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Later. Peace. Oh. Peace. Oh. Peace. Oh. Peace. Oh.